I returned home on Friday evening, anticipating a relaxing time with my lovely wife after a challenging week of travel. Our three somewhat independent children live on their own, and we've been married for 21 years. I hoped we could go somewhere and enjoy a pleasant evening together. As I entered the kitchen from the garage, I noticed the mail on the table and heard a noise from upstairs. The sound of footsteps descending the stairs followed. My attractive 43-year-old wife entered the living room wearing a short robe, a sight that always excited me. "Oh," she exclaimed, "you're early. I didn't expect you for another hour or so." Glancing at my watch, I realized I had indeed arrived early, though not excessively so. "What's going on? Where are we headed?" I inquired. "Well, I'm leaving," she declared. Perplexed, I asked, "Leaving? What do you mean? And with whom?" Her gaze directed me to a small bag of belongings at the end of the sofa. "I have a date with Benjamin Anderson. This is for the weekend. I'll be back on Sunday night, and we can talk about it then." Stunned, I struggled to comprehend her words. What the hell did she just say? I thought, realizing I needed to gather my thoughts and finish preparing for whatever lay ahead. She hurried upstairs, and I heard the door slam. As I processed the situation, I thought, "You're going to handle this," and my immediate instinct was to seek support. I reached for my mobile phone and dialed my daughter's number, determined not to be portrayed as the villain based on my wife's words. "Hello, Daddy. What's the matter?" She cheerfully answered. I grabbed her mother's purse, spilling its contents onto the coffee table. "I need you to come here immediately. Your mother hit her head, and we need to be there for her," I explained. "I have to go, Dad," she replied before hanging up. I then sent a similar urgent message to my son, adding, "Call your brother and tell him to come here." "Fast, Dad." The bewildered response was cut short as I ended the conversation. Seeking additional support, I dialed my in-laws and delivered the same distressing news. Their confusion mirrored mine, and a few screams ensued when, in the process, Caroline's purse revealed its typical contents: credit cards, keys, 10 packs of condoms. Puzzled, I noted my vasectomy and a confirmation email for hotel rooms 517 to 520 of the Marriott. The realization struck: Benjamin Anderson, a pediatric surgeon at her workplace, was involved. I've encountered him at the hospital Christmas party a few times over the last 5 years, and the best thing I can say about the guy is that he's slimy. His wife is stunningly beautiful, but I sense that she has issues with him. After confiscating credit cards and car keys, I stashed the incriminating email in my pocket and decided to check my mobile phone. Her password was our anniversary date, a safety measure, I presumed. While she was occupied upstairs, I retrieved the emergency contact list from her workplace and located the contact details for this questionable doctor. His cell phone wasn't listed, but his home phone could be useful. I dialed it, and after 2 rings, someone picked up. "Oh dear, I've been expecting your call. I don't recognize this number though." "Is everything okay?" the voice on the other end inquired. "Yes, this is Mrs. Harris." "And who is this?" I replied, "This is Oliver White. Your husband works at the hospital where my wife is the head nurse. I don't know if you remember me." "Yes, I remember. My husband and I were talking about you and your wife a couple of days ago. I was expecting a call from Benjamin. What can I do for you?" she asked. "So, your husband isn't at home?" I probed. "No, he's in Boston at a surgical conference. Everything is fine. Look, Mrs. Peterson, what more? I'm not sure how to put this delicately, but I don't believe he's where he claims to be." After a heated argument with my wife, she informed me that she'd be spending the weekend with him at the Marriott, concluding on Sunday evening. "What are you talking about?" I responded. "I believe we're both being deceived. I have an email confirmation for the rental of 7 adjoining rooms on the 7th floor from today through Monday. I saved your number, Mr. White." Let me get back to you. I've had enough of this nonsense. Disgusted, I consulted the emergency call list and found the contact information for the hospital's Director of Health, Rachel Robinson. I knew her. She and my wife were good friends, and her husband was a detective sergeant. I dialed her number promptly. As she answered with a tentative hello, I identified myself. "Who is this? Karen?" she questioned. "This is Oliver White, Caroline's husband." There was a muffled response. "Oh no, yes, Karen. What can I do for you?" Clearly alarmed, I shared my concerns about potential impropriety between Dr. Anderson and my wife and requested an investigation. Apologetically, she said, "Sorry, Karen. I can't talk right now. I have to go," and abruptly ended the call. Feeling the oddity of the situation, Caroline's cell phone rang almost immediately on the third ring. With my stomach churning, I answered the call without waiting for the caller to speak. "Caroline, he knows. He knows everything." "What did you tell him?" Gradually, I discovered not all Karen, but the shrill sigh on the other end of the line provided a telling revelation. "Goodbye," she uttered, and then came the click. I swiftly located her home phone number and dialed it. After 4 rings, a man answered with, "Look, I don't want to upgrade my cable service." "Anthony, looks like you've had a bad day. Who is this?" I revealed Kyan White, Caroline's husband. "Yes, nothing but sales calls and spam." "What's the matter?" he asked. I inquired, "Is Karen home?" "No, I'm babysitting the kids this weekend. Karen's at a hospital-sponsored team-building weekend in Philadelphia." "Why do you ask?" Taking a deep breath, I divulged everything I had learned and suspected, including my suspicion that more than just the 3 of them were involved, 7 hotel rooms. Silence hung on the other end of the line. "Are you thinking the same thing as me?" he finally questioned. "I don't know what I'm thinking, but I know one thing. Caroline won't leave here tonight. Even if I end up in jail, I'll contact you if I find out anything. Don't do anything stupid." Knowing Anthony was a cop, I could hear the gears turning in his mind. Just then, Caroline descended the stairs, resembling an expensive call girl in a red silk sheath dress. The neckline plunges almost to the waist, splitting on the right side down to mid-thigh. She noticed her purse tossed on the table. "What the? I have to go." "And you threw away all my things." Frantically collecting her belongings, she exclaimed. In response, I shouted, "Oh no, you're not doing this. You're not going anywhere now. Shut up and sit down." Trembling, she retorted, "I don't belong to you. I can do whatever I want." "Well, then I can too. How do you like it?" I reached out, grabbing the low neckline of her dress and tearing it down. Suddenly, she found herself practically naked, standing in an open-cut bra, a French lace garter belt, and a smoky grey lace top of seam stockings. She screamed and protested. "My dress." "No, this is not your dress. I bought it for our 20th wedding anniversary, along with most of the underwear you wore. If you go anywhere tonight, you won't wear this dress." At that moment, my cell phone rang. "Hello, Kyan White. This is Grace Anderson. I'm sorry to tell you, but you were right. I called the police and reported the car stolen. I bought the car for him, and it's registered in my name. They stopped him about 5 minutes ago. He claimed that he was my husband and that he had the right to drive the car." She chuckled in a strained voice. "They called me and said he claimed to be my husband." I heard him in the background as I vehemently told the cops that this was impossible. "My husband is in Boston." The voice on the other end gasped and mentioned he needed a lawyer. "I have to go down and fix this mess. He's arrested and the car is confiscated. Tell your wife I'll come get her next time." We were on speakerphone, and as soon as I realized whose call it was, Caroline gasped and screamed. "What did you do, Oliver?" "Damn you." At that moment, my children rushed in. "Dad, What's going on? Mom, are you okay? Junior asked. My daughter, Haley, entered the room and approached her mother. Are you okay, Mom? What happened to your dress? Your father tore it up. Death glares turned towards me. What the hell, Mom? What have you done? Tell me. Tell them. Why did Dad tear up your dress? And why do you have 10 packs of condoms in your purse? Are you planning to make water balloons or something? I questioned. Caroline, almost inaudibly, replied, I don't know where they came from. They're not mine. I continued, and where were you going for a sexy weekend without my husband? Isn't that what you meant? I can do what I want. This is my body. The moment it slipped out, Caroline realized the weight of what she had said in front of our children. In a hushed tone, she muttered, Well, that's my business. Jan Kayan rolled his eyes and headed to the kitchen for a drink. A few minutes later, he returned with an envelope. Here, Dad, it's addressed to you, he said, casting a contemptuous look at his mother. Caroline screamed and leaped up from the sofa, the remnants of her dress falling to the floor. Don't read this, she cried out. Haley hurried to assist her mother in covering herself. Shut up, Caroline, and sit back, I ordered, opening the envelope and reading aloud, My dear husband, my sister is Rachel and needs some help. I'm going to be with them this weekend, and we'll be home Monday evening. Kisses and hugs, Caroline. The children exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of what to make of the situation. I realized that she had written the note beforehand. She stood face to face with me, her confusion and panic betraying her. Then, as if the fates were enjoying the drama, the front doorbell rang, and before Michael could open it, Caroline's parents burst in. Caroline, are you okay? Asked her mother. Her father roared. What is going on here? Caroline fainted. Hello, Mom and Dad. Welcome to the center of the storm. Your daughter just managed to ruin our marriage and probably jeopardize her life and career, I explained. Her mother reacted with shock, and my daughter attempted to revive Caroline, while her father simmered with anger. I briefed them on the unfolding events, and the atmosphere grew colder and colder. Around this time, Caroline regained consciousness and looked around hysterical. She pleaded with her mother for help. Do you need help? How about calling your sister? I suggested. Help? You were supposed to help her with your mother. Maybe she can return the favor to you with these words, I said, handing the note to her father and dialing her sister's number. As he read the note aloud, I heard her sister answer, Hello, is this Oliver? Yes, Mavis, how are you? How's Mom doing? I inquired. She's all right. Oh yes, she's doing well. Caroline is really very helpful. I don't know what I would do without her. Can I talk to her, please? I asked. Well, she's busy right now. How about if I ask her to call you back? After some time, Mom grabbed the phone and scolded her second daughter. This is not necessary. You self-process, Mother. Her sister screamed in hysterics, and Caroline, unable to endure it, collapsed on the floor again. Now she stood almost entirely exposed in front of our children, with no concern from her parents about my well-being. The conversation concluded amidst the muffled cries of her second daughter. Just then, my phone rang once again. Oliver, this is Anthony. You were right. I obtained a search warrant for 7 rooms at the Marriott Hotel. Using a missing persons warrant that I had sworn in, we conducted a search and discovered 13 more individuals, including my wife, 3 male doctors, 4 female doctors, 4 nurses, and another female member of the HR team. I'm so sorry, Kayan. Really sorry, Anthony apologized. Me too, Anthony. But it is what it is. Thank you. I turned to my soon-to-be ex-wife, instructing her, go upstairs, put on something decent, and get out of my house. She lifted her whimpering self into a standing position and turned to ascend. Then she halted and pleaded, Please, Don't cast me away like this." I retorted, "Oh, you mean after ruining our marriage with your 'it's my body'? I'll do what I want" nonsense. I've been tempted many times. I could have had an affair with the waitress at the diner where we used to have coffee. After the night shift, I had opportunities with women, even at the Lincoln dealership where we bought the car. Hell, your own sister was hitting on me, but I chose to be faithful to you because I loved you. And this is the gratitude I receive. Get out of my life." She completely lost her composure, turned, and rushed upstairs, losing a high-heeled shoe along the way. Silence settled in the living room. Then my daughter spoke up. "I'll go and make sure she doesn't do anything stupid, Dad." Caroline came downstairs about 14 minutes later, carrying a suitcase, dressed in jeans and a sweatshirt, with her makeup and hair in disarray. My eldest son intercepted her on the way out. "Don't worry, Mom. Adrienne and I will plan your wedding so that it doesn't interfere with any of your festivities. It's not like you sent an invitation. Maybe Dad can bring a new girlfriend." Adrienne, Kayan's serious girlfriend, revealed the seriousness of their relationship. Now we know. Caroline hesitated at the front door, where her mother accompanied her to the exit. Her father turned to me. "Is there any way to overcome all this? She clearly needs help, but nothing seems to be happening." I responded, "She can talk to my lawyer about it. Remember, Dad, she loves you." I met his gaze directly and remarked, "Funny way to show it." The ironic part was that they all spouted the same excuses. Adults consenting, doing nothing wrong until they get caught. It turned out that the good doctor had used the hospital's company credit card to rent rooms and cover expenses for a weekend party. The hospital aimed to avoid publicity, but 8 participants were documented as being on duty or attending some fictional official seminar or hospital event. This revelation led to the unraveling of several marriages. While it wasn't the first such party, it certainly became the last. I initiated divorce proceedings, but being a generally mild-mannered aircraft mechanic, I let it drag on as she underwent counseling. The kids were there for me, witnessing my efforts, but the pain was unbearable. It felt like a sudden jolt, a bolt from the blue. How could I have been so oblivious? United Airlines showed understanding, granting me extended medical leave while she lost her job. The good doctor, along with everyone else involved, faced termination, lawsuits, and legal prosecution. Karen lost her job, as did her deputy, resulting in a severe shortage of nurses and several open doctor positions. My wife became the latest recruit for the sex club, as they sought fresh members, having noticed her for quite some time. Rachel had been working on her, insisting she owed it to herself, that it would be enjoyable, and I would never find out. Moreover, she suggested that many husbands derive pleasure from their wives having intimate encounters with other men. It took 6 months, but eventually they convinced her. Over a year passed, but I loved her and couldn't imagine life without her. The age-old question lingered: would I be better off with or without her in my life? I monitored her closely, bombarding her with questions about the state of our relationship, making her therapist, parents, and our children part of the ongoing conversation. Despite the toll it took on her sanity, she recognized my incredible effort, and she still loved me. However, I believed her, leading me to take legal action against the hospital. Following Dr. Anderson's divorce suit from his wife, I found myself in the queue of those seeking retribution. However, I managed to secure a position ahead of the other aggrieved parties. Together, we held the hospital accountable, my kids, and I reaching an out-of-court settlement for a substantial 6-figure sum, outlined in a sealed agreement. The remaining plaintiffs were awarded a total of 7 figures through sealed settlements. Unfortunately, my daughter-in-law faced unwelcome circumstances everywhere she went, and I'm unsure if her parents have addressed the situation with her. I consider myself fortunate with the outcome of how everything unfolded. Thanks to the timely activation of all 8 cylinders in my mind and the unwavering support of my children and friends, I realized I might have taken my marriage for granted, though no more. It took over a year, but we've managed to rebuild. Our relationship is back on track, and our intimacy is incredibly satisfying. At times, she weeps in the aftermath of our intimate moments, expressing remorse for the trauma she caused, but the situation is gradually improving. As I mentioned, I love her deeply. However, do not mistake my affection for weakness. About 6 months after the storm of events, I encountered the doctor leaving the gym. In the company of a police officer, I confronted him and unleashed my fury, breaking 3 of his fingers and crushing 1 of his testicles. His once handsome appearance is now a thing of the past. Fortunately, life goes on. I recognize that my actions may be perceived as tasteless and cruel. But when it comes to my wife, I won't tolerate any disrespect. I'll remain meek until provoked. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for the next narrative. Trust me, this story is nothing compared to what comes next.